Hey everyone, welcome back. It's good to see you all again. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, whatever you celebrate. I hope it was a good one. Today we're going to talk about something a little fun. It's going to be a little nostalgia dive. So we're going to talk about five trading card games that you may not known existed at one point or had, kind of weird following, but they existed. So let's just dive into it. So the first one's going to be Monster Rancher. It looks a lot like this. I'm sure a lot of you have seen something like this at one point. They just celebrated their 25th anniversary. This is the Japanese game. I bought it for collector's purposes. I was a massive fan of Monster Rancher back in the day. But Monster Rancher started out as a PlayStation One game. It followed kind of fun formula. You raise a monster. You from a CD. Yeah, you put a CD in your PlayStation, and from that CD, a monster would be born. You take that monster back to your farm or your ranch. It's Monster Rancher, and you would have it do jobs for you. Doing those jobs would raise its stats, and then you'd fight it in tournaments, and you just keep repeating over and over again until you have like the toughest monster ever. So I dumped a lot of time into that as a kid, and I made it like the S ranks, and yay, I think I beat the game, but I'm not sure if I beat the game or not. Whatever. So Monster Rancher somehow spawned several games. I think they went up to Monster Rancher 4. They had a bunch of little like sub games, like a trading card virtual game, but they did have a trading card game. They had their own trading card game, which had absolutely no marketing behind it, and it died very quickly. I'm pretty sure it was a US only release, or maybe it did have a very limited release over here, but it's hard to find ads for it. You can still find the cards online. The cards were based off the anime series. Yes, it had an anime series that was also kind of hard to find. I personally saw it. I think I was like homesick from school one day and I couldn't sleep, and it was like in the middle of the night. And I stumbled upon it. And I thought I was having a fever dream. I was like, no way, it's like Suezo, this guy, the yellow guy, on TV. But yep, it existed. There's still a fan base. They just released another game last year, but the card game. Anyway, going back to the card game. Sorry, I got excited talking about Monster Rancher. The card game did exist. The pictures on the cards were almost exclusively screen grabs from the anime series, and that was it. It was a very simple card game. It was one off. In fact, I found the card game by accident. Um, I remember when I was a kid, my mom would go to the mall to get her hair done, and I would go with her. I was like 12 or 13 years old at the time, and there was like a box at the counter, and it was for Monster Rancher cards. And I thought, oh, these must be like these must be like bootlegs, whatever. I'll buy them anyway. But no, they were real. It was a real product, and they had real booster packs, and it was um, yeah, it was an actual licensed item. So I bought a few of them. They were like $1 a piece, and that was it. I'd never saw them again out in the wild. You could still find cards on eBay and online. As for people trying to keep the game alive, that's very negligible. But you can still find the game online. You can still find the cards on eBay. You can find booster boxes for very cheap. So if you're a fan like me, they might be fun to collect for nostalgia purposes. The cards, I feel like they could have been designed a lot better. They're kind of ugly. It just feels like very haphazardly designed. So there's really not much value in them. You're going to find some people trying to price gouge them, but especially the Pixie cards, like the Pokemon, the Monster Rancher waifu, it's her up there. You just kind of see her. Yeah, it's a lady. But otherwise, if you want the cards, if you're a fan of the show, yeah, definitely look them up, grab a few of them, and just hold on to them because they're just fun. That's what the whole point is. It's just fun. But the game existed. It was You're very hard pressed to find anyone who even plays it or even has played it, but it's there, and that's pretty cool. So let's see. Coming up next. All right. Up next, we have 24. 24, for those who don't know, it was an incredibly successful hit action show on Fox. It came out in 2005 or six. It featured Kiefer Sutherland, who played Jack Bauer, which is like invincible main character who basically had 24 hours, get it, 24, to save the world, and it took place in real time. So every episode was a 1 hour countdown to the 24th hour, and it was a really good show. It became a massive success. Sprint, the cell phone company, became a huge sponsor in it. So every character had a Sprint cell phone at one point and made it a point to show off their cell phone. The action was a lot of fun. I think Fox's website also had a counter or like a character roster to show every character that was killed off or who survived each episode, which is really fun to follow along with. And everyone's ringtone at one point was this. So that was yeah, that was big. So if you hear that, it's 24. If I still hear that ringtone to this day, the first thing I think about is 24. Still have the video game here, which is more fun than I thought it would be because I was a mega fan at one point too. But in 2007, the 24 trading card game came out. The trading card game came out, and it wasn't called booster packs within the set. It was called tactical packs because of course, it has to be. So much like Monster Rancher, the 24 trading card games pictures were entirely cut from the TV show. There was no other real media to get them from. So 24 media was the card game was just all TV show cutouts with character stats, and each character can boost or lower stats. I couldn't really get into how the game's played, but I'm pretty sure you had to save the world or blow it up if you're a bad guy. That's my assumption here. The company behind 24 promised a very, very aggressive ad campaign, and they did. There was a big marketing campaign for a while, and because like I said, the show was huge. They did promise more tournaments and aggressive tournaments and a lot of stuff, a lot of promos. You could still find the promos online, and some of them go for about 20, $40, like for some of the harder to find ones. The game itself is very affordable. As for tournaments, I don't personally recall seeing any tournaments locally within like the upper East Coast, New York area. So I didn't see anybody playing this game either, or even see it for sale for that matter. The only ads I could find were the ones online, but I didn't remember seeing any personally. Uh, you guys ever played it or saw these ads or saw tournaments or got promos from any events? Please let me know. I believe there was supposed to be an expansion for this, but I don't think it ever happened. There is a small Facebook group that is trying to bring the game back or trying to play with out of print cards. So, there's that. Always feel free to check that out as well. Good luck to them. All right, so for number three, we have Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So I kind of struggled with putting this on the list because it's very well known media, and it's still pretty famous. But I'll explain. So Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it needs almost no introduction. Came out in 1975. Monty Python comedy troupe. Bunch of the Knights from the Round Table go on a quest for the Holy Grail. It's a lot of fun. It's a funny movie. I highly recommend it. Check it out. A lot of the catchphrases are still uttered to this day, such as oh, it's just but a scratch. Oh, it's a flesh wound. So I kind of like taught my daughter that. She cut her finger on something one time, and it wasn't a bad cut, and she was freaking out because kids. And I just said, oh, it's a flesh wound, and she thought it was really funny, and that kind of calmed her down. So I have like even more of a happy association from the anyway. So I'm getting off track. The game seemed kind of meta as well. Like there are cards that require you to do real world actions within the game, such as you have to shout certain things, or if your opponent's taking like too long, I think if they take more than 10 seconds, there's a card, the get on with it card, so you can just like void their turn completely. There's intermission card where your opponent can't do anything, which is kind of fun. The art on the card is also based on the media on the movie as well. So there are some cartoons within the movie as well too, which is kind of cool. But like most stuff on this list, the cards themselves are very affordable still, and I recommend them from a collector standpoint. I'm still kind of like weighing myself back and forth on buying a box, buying a set, just to have because they're really deep. They're a lot of fun, and it's Monty Python, so they're getting on with this game. There's still a very active play group, so there's still people that play this game online together, or they do regular meetups. So this game's not exactly forgotten, which is why I had a hard time thinking about putting it on the list, but it's still there. And the reason I put it on this list is because unless you're kind of like in the know, unless you're a fan of Monty Python, specifically a fan of the game itself, you're not going to know about this card game. I have a few friends that are big fans of the Holy Grail, Life of Brian, and all that, but they had no idea there was a game. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to know, and you know you really have to know it to play it. So like if Monty Python, Holy Grail, now you know. So go pick it up. Oops, I also forgot to mention, going back to Monty Python real quick, that the game was pretty successful too. So they released an expansion pack in 2000 called Taunt You a Second Time, which basically had cards from different Monty Python mediums, but it was playable and combinable with Holy Grail. So I just wanted to add that in there. I kind of forgot by getting off track with Tis But a Flesh Wound and thinking about the Holy Hand Grenade and the Evil Bunny. If you know, you know about the Evil Bunny. So number four on this list is going to be Austin Powers. Yeah, that Austin Powers, the really fun spy movies from the '90s, starring Michael Myers. Uh, it was basically a direct parody of James Bond. I mean, it was fun. If you haven't seen Austin Powers, check it out. It still holds pretty well, except for the third one, which is kind of Gold Member. That was kind of yeah, it was kind of okay. But of the first two, I think the International Man of Mystery, Spy Who Shagged Me, whatever they were called, they were fun. I highly recommend them. Check it out. I had them on VHS at one point, so yeah, there's that. But Austin Powers was huge. You could when it came out, it was just a massive hit. There were so many Austin Powers. There was posters. There were books on how to be like how to have mojo like Austin. I remember that one. Uh, you could buy the Austin Powers teeth. There's like a chest hair wig at one time in Spencer Gifts. It was big. Just take my word for it. It was a big deal. So of course, a trading card game came out. 1999, Decipher, the game company, came out with this trading card game for Austin Powers, but they had no idea what to do. Apparently, they were given no direction whatsoever. They were just told, "Hey, make a card game while the movie's really hot." So the card company itself knew these games would not sell at all. They had no faith in it, and you could tell. The cards, they felt so cluttered, and they were direct screen grabs from the movie. There was no unique card made. They're all just cut and paste from the movie. The company admits this as well because they weren't giving any direction. And even background characters that were on there for 2 seconds, if you pause the movie, you might find certain characters. They were just cut and paste from the back with low res images and just pasted on a card. And they're given stats. You could have different stats such as groovy, randy, vibes, creepy, and shagadelic. So there was no direction. The card game was kind of tricky to play as well too. Like the directions seemed kind of just very vague and basically just figure it out for yourself, make your own rules kind of thing. There was like almost no community for this. There was no marketing for this game. It was just there. It just showed up one day. It was there. A expansion was promised but never delivered, and it was never even officially canceled. So I wouldn't hold out hope. It's supposed to come out in year 2000. It's been 23 plus years, so I wouldn't hold out hope for it. The cards do have like a 60s, 70s theme to it with little flowers and stuff like that on it, but from a collector standpoint, only if you're a big fan, you'd really like it a lot. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother. But this was definitely one that got forgotten and thrown in the waste bins of trading card games. But Jerry Springer has a card. If I were to collect this, I'd want the Jerry Springer card. And otherwise, that's pretty much all there is to say about this. There was no hope for this game whatsoever. It was just there. It was a quick cash grab and it shows. And it's a shame because back then Austin Powers was that big. All right. All right, and number five is going to be Neopets. Okay, Neopets. Neopets is huge, and it's kind of special to me also. I feel like Neopets also rode in the back of Pokemon because it was kind of the same thing. You get your own little cute, cuddly animal or badass looking shark thing, like I had because it was cool. And you feed it, you make them fight, you get points, but it was a lot more than that. Neopets was a big staple of the early internet, like in the late '90s, like '99, '98. So with Neopets, it wasn't just like fight your pets and do whatever. They existed in a world called Neopia. You played these old flash games with the pets to get money. You could put them in the bank. You could go on a forum and talk to other Neopets players and have a friends list. I had a huge friends list back in the day, and I was very active on the forums growing up, which is probably extremely cringy now when I think about it. But it was a really fun time. My Neopets are still around, probably starving to death in my account, which I should probably feed them one day, maybe after this video. But whatever. Anyway, but Neopets got huge. It blew up. There were toys. There was books. I don't think there was any movies with Neopets in it though. There was a lot of plushies, stickers, jewelry. They had a cereal, and at one point they were in Burger King as kids meals toys. And Neopets, the website, made it to Burger King as kids meals toys, and they're pretty collectible. And even so far as back in 2020, February 2020, they got greenlit to make an animated series, but then the COVID-19 pandemic killed it, and there's been no news of it since then. So that kind of sucks because I actually would have watched the Neopets cartoon. I think that would have been really neat, but that's gone now. They're still kicking. They're still around. They even tried to do an NFT, which was a complete disaster, which made things even worse for them. Um, and what blows my mind is that my kids have a Neopets cookbook. I can't find it. I wanted to show it for the video real quick, but there's a Neopets cookbook that came out recently, and they have it, and the recipes are pretty simple, but it's still cute. And I think it's really neat that Neopets is still trying to like move around and trying to stay alive, which they are. Hopefully they do an app, another mobile app, and to do that. or another video game. I actually am looking for the video game. I might play it. But anyway, Neopets, the card game came out in 2003 from Wizards of the Coast. It was big. Wizards of the Coast, yes, that one that did the Pokemon base. They did Neopets. So they did Neopets also. This one had a really big marketing campaign. It blew up. My local Toy Wiz store had posters everywhere. They had promos, but I didn't make it for the promos. I wish I had them still, but my mom might have thrown them out anyway. So yeah, there's that. So one of my cousin's friends who worked at Toy Wiz, he did mention that this game's coming out from Neopets. It's going to be really big, and they actually changed his job title from like customer service, whatever, to Neopet trainer, which we gave him a lot of crap for because it was just really funny, especially back in the day we're all teenagers. But yeah, Neopets had all that. They had like 10 expansion packs as well, and the cards are highly collectible. So from my knowledge, they actually did do a few tournaments. They did do meetups with this card game. They did try their best to keep it going, but I feel like it's supernovaed itself completely. Like it just got really, really huge. They had these expansion packs, and it just completely it phased out. Uh, I do struggle to call it forgotten entirely because, like I said, it did have about 10, including the base set expansion packs for it. There were a lot of promos. Let's see here. Yeah, 10 expansions, Toy Wiz Trainer. No, they were big. It was a big deal. I can only get my hands on one card right now that was in good shape. I did buy a CGC 7.5 graded card. It was a Space Fairy card, which I thought it was, yeah, it's kind of cool. Um, you'd be hard pressed to find fairly affordable Neopets cards. There's no one that I know playing this game anymore. I could not find any groups that were like trying to get the game revived, despite how big Neopets, I like to think at least still is. But there are a lot of collectors out there for these booster boxes. People are still selling empty booster boxes for like between $40 to $100 on eBay with comps. Just recently, one of the sets, I think the ice set, I forgot the name of it. It sold for a little under $2,000 for like I think it was an incomplete booster box. Like a bunch of the ice set booster boxes are selling. The space one, the Doctor Sloth cards they're worth money. They're worth money, which is pretty cool. But I wish they would have had this kind of success when the game came out. So, like I said, Neopets is still pretty special to me. It's pretty cool. This game was a thing. I wish I was more involved in it because I didn't realize how much fun it could have been. These cards, the art did seem pretty high quality compared to the rest of the games on this list. Neopets did have a much better production value in their cards. The game was very playable. I did look at the rules. It seemed pretty simple, and it seemed like a lot of fun too. So this game had a lot behind it. This game was bound to be. I feel like it would have been more successful, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, people will just see Neopets and be like, oh, Neopets, whatever. But looking back, this game should have been loved a bit more. Um, wish there was more attention they could have given this one too. Like I said, the game was very playable. Production value is high. The artwork was original for the game. They did have some cut and paste stuff from the website, but as a whole, they did give this game some lore. So there was like a storyline behind it as well. Characters were drawn specially for the cards. There were like special hero Neopets too for the cards. So this one was like the most fleshed out and most high quality game out of all the ones on this list, and that's saying a lot for Neopets. I'm still hoping they have another resurgence here, and it looks like they might be. They might be. Their Instagram is very active. Their social medias are very active still. So let's see. Let's see what the future holds for Neopets. Okay, so I think that's going to be it for our list for forgotten card games or dead card games. But I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add a special one. I'm going to say Old Yu-Gi-Oh! That's right, Old Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I tried Duel Masters or whatever it's called now, and it's complete trash. I said it. All right, guys, that's it for today. Once again, thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for joining me. I always appreciate your time. Take care of yourself. Be safe out there. And if you have any more to add or anything, any comments, opinions about these, please, I'd love to hear them. Once again, take care and have a good one. All right, take care now.